Long before the world tasted the poison of forgetting its roots, there stood a kingdom known as Nindikelionwu, a land where the earth still listened to the footsteps of its children, where every wind carried the voice of an ancestor, and where no tree swayed without the blessing of the gods. Ndikelionwu was not just a kingdom, it was a covenant between the living, the dead, and those yet unborn. It was said that the gods placed their palms upon its red earth, and that was why yams sprouted like miracles and palm wine flowed sweeter than anywhere else. The rivers never dried, the markets never lacked, and even strangers who walked its borders felt an unspoken peace. Drummers often boasted that the land itself danced when the ogene rang. At the heart of this kingdom stood the royal palace of Eze Akuokwe, a giant compound adorned with earth-red walls, cowries, and carved totems of lions and tortoises. Within those walls lived men and women who carried titles like Arma, Enze, Ozo, Ichi, custodians of age-old wisdom. And above them all stood the throne, the stool of the ancestors, guarded by the chief priest of Ani, the earth goddess. No decision in Ndikelionwu was ever made without consulting the shrine. When twins were born, they offered kola. When a warrior returned, they offered goat. When a girl came of age, they poured libation. Life and tradition were woven like raffia. They could not exist apart. But unknown to them, the gods were preparing to test the land. In the season when birds abandoned the skies to watch the coronation of a new moon, the palace drums thundered with joy. A child had been born to Eze Akuokwe and Queen Nena. A daughter. The seers called her Adaeze, first daughter of the crown. From the moment she cried, the palace women whispered, "This one is not ordinary." She was beautiful beyond reason, skin like oji bark polished in moonlight, eyes that glittered like river pebbles, and hair thick as midnight. "When she walks," said an old maid, "even leaves will bow." But as seasons turned and Adaeze grew, so too did something else, something the maidens feared to name aloud. From the moment she learned to walk on anklets of ivory, Princess Adaeze did not walk. She glided as though the world itself should rise to meet her steps, servants often whispered. She carries herself like the sky carries the sun, high, untouchable. She was no longer the quiet infant of omens. She had become a storm wrapped in beauty. In Ndikelionwu, every child, prince or peasant, was taught the three bows of respect. Bow to the earth, for it bears you. Bow to elders, for they walked before you. Bow to the gods, for they watch all. But Adaeze bowed to none. During evening gatherings, when maidens swept palace courtyards and boys fetched firewood, Adaeze stood with arms folded, eyes cold, watching their labour. When the palace tutor, an old man named Ichi Melu, recited proverbs, she cut through his words like a blade. "Wisdom," he said one dusk, "is like a goat tethered. Those who come with humility will find it gentle." Adaeze scoffed. "If wisdom is tethered, then it should be brought to me. I do not chase." The elders exchanged worried glances. This was not mere confidence. This was defiance. Each full market day, women and maidens visited the shrine of Ani, the earth goddess, to offer kola and prayers. Queens and commoners knelt alike, but Adaeze stood tall, refusing even to remove her beaded sandals. When a titled woman urged her, "Nwanyi Oma, kneel before Ani," the princess replied, I kneel to no carved wood or clay. If the gods want my respect, let them come and ask for it." A gasp tore through the shrine courtyard. Even the wind went still. Chief Priest Ekajiuba, cloaked in feathers and chalk, turned his milky eyes toward her and murmured, "Beauty that rejects humility will drink tears." Adaeze only smiled. In palace feasts, when elders spoke in riddles, she interrupted with laughter. When maidens praised the gods at moon dances, she mocked their chants. She once told a titled man, "Do not raise your voice at me. I was born above your head." Though her father, Eze Akuokwe, adored her, he saw shadows in her eyes, an unyielding pride he could not break. Queen Nena often whispered, "Pride is a sickness, and even a crown cannot cure it." But the kingdom forgave her. "She is only a child," they said. They did not know she was a storm waiting for thunder. The morning of the Iriji festival, the festival of the new yam, rose with a sky washed in gold. All of Ndikelionwu stirred with reverence, for this was not merely celebration, it was covenant, a sacred renewal between mortals and the gods of the land. From the smallest hut to the king's palace, mortar and pestle chanted in rhythm, pounding yam like thunder. Mothers adorned their daughters in uli body art, tracing spirals of destiny on their arms. Drummers tightened the skins of their Ngadegwu drums, ready to summon spirits from unseen realms. This was the day even warriors sheathed their swords. This was the day even kings bowed. The palace gates opened with grandeur. Eze Akuokwe, majestic in his red cap and eagle feather, led his household through the village square. Beside him Queen Nenena walked with measured grace. And there, shimmering like midday sun, walked Princess Adaeze, wrapped in white and coral, anklets chiming like pride itself. The crowd parted. Women bent their knees. Children pressed faces into palms. Even strangers lowered their gaze. But Adaeze! She did not glance at them. Her chin remained lifted, as though she breathed air no one else could touch. At the heart of the square stood the shrine of Ani, draped in palm fronds and white cloth. Before it knelt the chief priest, Ekajuba, his body chalked with sacred symbols, his staff crowned with cowries. The priest raised kola nut to the heavens and recited, "Ani Nene Em, Earth Mother, we return what you have given. As we eat, let the land eat. As we thrive, let peace remain." As custom demanded, each member of the royal family approached to kneel, to touch their forehead to the soil, asking permission to eat the new yam. The king knelt. The queen knelt. The elders knelt. Then all eyes turned to Adaeze. She stood still, unmoved. "Da Nala, prostrate child," a noble whispered, "kneel." But she lifted her voice clearly, proudly. "I will not kneel to clay and cowries. I am daughter of kings. The earth should bow to me." A gasp burst through the crowd like a broken pot. A pregnant woman fainted. The drummers fell silent, mid-beat. The chief priest slowly rose, his eyes burning like smouldering coals. "Child," he said, voice trembling with age and warning. "Pride is meat the gods do not eat. Swallow it before it swallows you." Adaeze laughed. "Before the shrine, before the kingdom, before the gods." "If the gods are angered," she said, "let them come to me. I fear no spirit I cannot see." The kola nut the priest held, split in his hands. Not white, not clean, but red. bleeding red like flesh torn open. A cold wind coiled through the square. Torches flickered without flame. The drums moaned without being struck. Ekejuba dropped to his knees. The gods have answered. But Adaeze smiled, her pride unshaken. She turned and walked away. She did not see the lightning that flashed across a cloudless sky. She did not hear the ancestors hush their drums. She had crossed a line no mortal should cross. Ndikelionwu had always been a land favoured by the gods. Rivers flowed like silver serpents, palm trees bent generously to harvesters, and children laughed without fear of famine. But on the morning after the New Yam Festival, the day after Adaeze defied the shrine, something shifted. At sunrise, women gathered with clay pots at Umued River, a stream that had never once failed the kingdom. It was their mirror, their provider, the silent witness of births and funerals. But this morning, when their pots touched water, sand. Only sand. The riverbed lay cracked and pale, like a tongue that had forgotten moisture. Fish lay gasping, their scales dull, eyes clouded by absence of life. A woman screamed, "Chinikemu, the river has fled." Others dropped their pots, backing away as though the ground itself might swallow them. "The gods have shut their palms." Later that day, as the sun climbed, dark clouds gathered, but only over the royal compound. Farmers in distant fields saw clear skies, yet over the palace, thunder snarled like an unseen beast. No rain followed, only sound, endless rumbling sound. Okirikiri birds, harbingers of misfortune, circled the rooftops, their cries piercing and mournful. Chief priest Ekejuba stood outside his shrine, face tilted upward. "The sky is speaking," he murmured. "But will the proud listen?" In every noble household, Kolonut was split before morning meals, an offering to ancestors. But in the home of Ichimamalu, the old palace tutor who once tried to advise Adaeze, something happened. When he broke the Kolonut, crimson liquid dripped from it. Not oil, not dye, blood. His wife cried out, "This is abomination." Ichimamalu trembled. "It is not abomination, it is judgment." Word spread like bushfire way. The earth bleeds. The gods are hungry. A curse has entered the kingdom. And everywhere, every whisper, one name curled like smoke. Adaeze. In the market, women paused mid-trade. In the farms, hoes halted mid-swing. The town square fell into uneasy silence whenever the princess passed. She heard them. She laughed at the shrine. She called Annie Clay. She mocked the gods, see how they answer. But Adaeze, she held her head high, chin unbroken, eyes unbending. "Let them speak," she said to her handmaids. "Words cannot harm one born for the throne." In the shrine of Ani, the chief priest Ekejuba knelt before the sacred staff, tears cutting paths through his chalk. "Ani Neem, Earth Mother, speak. Tell us what you desire." In the hush, the sacred gourd beside him cracked on its own. From within, a whisper, soft as breath, heavy as stone. "The pride of one will be the suffering of many." The gods had spoken, but their hands had not yet fallen. Ndikelionwu trembled, praying the princess would bend, before the gods chose to break her. Not long after Princess Adaeze's open defiance at the festival of the New Yam, a strange sickness crept into her bones. It came without warning, first as a small fever, then as a burning fire that no healer could quench. Her once radiant eyes grew dull, her laughter faded into silence. The palace healers brought herbs, priests chanted incantations, yet nothing changed. The drums of celebration in Ndikelionwu became the drums of mourning. The chief priest, Dibia Okonkwo, was summoned from the hills of Umunse. After gazing upon the princess's pale body, he shook his head slowly. "This sickness is not of flesh," he said gravely. "It is the hand of the gods. The Earth Mother Ani has withdrawn her breath from the princess. Only she can restore it." The king and queen wept, but there was only one path to mercy. Adaeze herself must go into the sacred forest and plead before the spirits. At dawn, the air was still. The people of Ndikelionwu gathered as the princess, now weak and trembling, stepped out of the royal compound. Her silk wrapper hung loose, her feet bare. No maidens followed her. No royal guards accompanied her. The once proud daughter of the throne now walked alone, humbled, broken, and fearful. Every step towards the forest echoed her repentance. At the edge of Ohia Enso, the sacred forest, the chief priest drew 3 lines on the ground and said, "Beyond this line, no mortal voice can guide you. You go as a soul, not a princess. Speak truth before the gods." Adaeze nodded, tears streaming down her face. She crossed the line and vanished into the shadowed forest. For 3 days and nights, she wandered among the sacred trees. Her once soft hands now bled from thorns, her golden bangles dulled with dirt. She found a stream and fell to her knees, her reflection staring weakly back at her, the same reflection that once disappeared when pride ruled her heart. She began to weep. Not the proud tears of entitlement, but the deep sobs of regret, the kind that come when the soul finally sees its own sin. "O great Ani, Mother of the Earth," she cried, "forgive me. I mocked your servants. I scorned your altars. I forgot that even a princess is but dust before the gods. Spare my people, not me." Her voice broke. The wind carried her words through the forest like incense. The spirits listened. On the 4th night, as she lay weak beside a fallen iroko tree, the air grew calm. Fireflies gathered around her like stars fallen from the sky. A gentle breeze brushed her face, and from the silence came a soft, motherly voice, neither near nor far. "Child of pride, you have knelt before the truth. You mock the gods, yet the gods have shown mercy. Rise, Adaeze, for you are forgiven." The pain left her body. Warmth flooded her veins. When she opened her eyes, dawn had broken and the forest no longer felt dark. When she emerged from the forest, the villagers gasped. Her sickness was gone. Her face glowed, not with pride, but with peace. She fell before her parents, bowing low to the ground. "I have seen the gods," she said humbly. "They are just, and they are merciful." The chief priest raised his staff to the heavens. "The land is restored," he proclaimed. "The princess has been forgiven." The people shouted with joy. Drums thundered again in Ndikelionwu, not for arrogance, but for thanksgiving. The rivers flowed once more, the yams grew fat in the soil, and the air carried laughter instead of sorrow. Princess Adaeze, once known for her pride, became the kingdom's servant of compassion. She gave to widows, taught children, and knelt before the elders she once mocked. Years later, when parents warned their children about pride, they said, "Remember Princess Adaeze. the one who angered the gods and was reborn through humility. And from that day the people of Ndikelionwu flourished, not because of their riches or kingship, but because they remembered. The crown may rule the people, but humility rules the heart.